Hello Sarah.
Hello.
And welcome to Catch 21. We're here today really to find out about this new magazine Total Politics, which I understand you're the editor for.
Yes.
First of all, what our viewers might want to know is, what inspired you to get into politics? What does politics mean to you?
Well, to me it's about actually you having a voice and exercising your voice, and actually people will listen to you if you have a point to make, and if you use it through political means, then actually people do stop and people do listen. And there's so many organisations and out there that are very political in more ways than one, that actually have quite a big impact on these guys at Westminster. And more so than people can imagine, actually. And actually they do have a real opportunity to shape the decision makers, if you like. And I suppose by that I'm referring to people at Westminster and the Westminster Village. And actually a lot of people find that it's quite closed, that it's quite a locked environment that is very difficult to crack into. But actually it's not. People are very receptive. And I've been interested, so I've been interested in politics from a very, very young age, and interested in looking in everything from the real grassroots activism, really, getting out there on the street, speaking to people, real people that are actually, going to essentially vote for the candidate that you want to run, your constituency or indeed the country, right through to actually working on this project. My new magazine, Total Politics, and kind of, bringing issues to politicians themselves through the medium of the magazine, if you like.
Sure. And I mean, so politics for you is all about really like making people realise that they have power to influence, would you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. People do have power to influence decisions and legislation as well. And an awful lot of lobby firms out there that do that very, very well. But actually, individual organisations, I just can't think of any off the top of my head, but individual organisations do have a lot of power, and you can lobby members of Parliament to hear your voice, and they are quite receptive to that.
And in terms of Total Politics itself, how did it come about? Why was it come about? Because I understand that there isn't anything quite similar to it. And explain how it's going to go out. And,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was the brainchild of the publisher, Ian Dow, and he came up with the concept probably September last year, 2007. And his idea was to create a political magazine that was, yes, it was for politicians, but it would have a wider appeal to people that had a broad interest in politics and the political process, and so actually people that had just more than a passing interest. So the magazine, it's sent to 25,000 elected politicians in the country, 23,000 in Britain. And that's everyone from councillors, local councillors, to MPs, MEPs,
so everyone we elect, basically.
Everyone that we elect, absolutely. But in addition to that, we're going to be available in sort of like Smiths and Borders and Waterstones, and so we have we now actually have a broader appeal to as I was saying before, to people who've got more than just a passing interest in the subject, and actually young people are a very important part of that, because I think this magazine will appeal to young people, because it's our idea of this magazine is to be approachable, and that's possibly one of the big differences between us and others and other magazines in the political market. That's probably what sets us apart, is that we've got interesting articles, yes, they're challenging, but actually we're very approachable. The magazine is accessible. It's quite light-hearted. There's humour in there as well as very serious articles.
Sure, absolutely. We've already seen, obviously, Gordon Brown you've got a great interview there with him. We look forward to that. But in terms of actually reaching out to young people, obviously, Catch 21 is about doing that and getting them engaged. How are they going to be, taking a liking to this magazine? And in terms of interactivity, how is it really going to appeal to? Because I understand it's also $3.99 to purchase in WH Smith. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah. We have a yearly subscription fee as well, and if people do it before a certain date, then I think there is a discount as well, and I think that's in the magazine. But I mean, first, in answer to the first part of your question, it goes back to the fact that it is an approachable magazine, and I was a politics student at A-level and beyond, and there was an awful lot of publications out there that were incredibly difficult to read and digest, but were actually quite important in terms of the information that they provided. But it wasn't in an easy format. And you know, as a student, you have stacks of books and mountains of stuff to read and digest, and it can often not be in, you know. And
we've all been there, haven't we?
Absolutely,
yeah.
I'm not ashamed to say this. In many respects, it's in rather difficult language, and this is very simple. It's very effective in that it's, you know, each article makes their point, and it's very simple and accessible in that respect, you know, and it's a light read. So I hope that it would be attractive to a younger audience. In terms of the price, $3.99. Well, it is a monthly magazine, and I know that there's an awful lot of other magazines out there that are actually actually more than that. But again, there's, you know, discounts and subscriptions and things. So,
were there any specific issues as well in the first magazine about young people or the issues that they're facing, for example?
In the first issue, possibly not specifically not specifically to young people in the first issue, but actually in the second issue, I'm looking to do a piece, or rather in a future issue, I'm looking to do a piece on the young ones, if you like, the people to watch out for this year, or rather coming up to the next election, and and actually, there's an awful lot of people, and this possibly would be covered in this feature as well. An awful lot of young people that have been elected to office, or rather a lot of people that have been elected to office at a young age, and they've got an awful lot of responsibility, and I'm keen to speak to them and, you know, and approach them to see actually, well, how do they manage that, and how do they, you know, take on this responsibility, and, you know, and are they taken seriously? And actually, another point I'd like to make is that my editorial team, we're a very young team. I'm the editor of Total Politics, and I'm 27, and I was 26 when I started on the project, and the executive editor is 25, the political editor is 24, and we have other members of staff who are younger. So we're a very, very young team.
So they'll present the issues in a more kind of understandable way, if you like, for the younger generations. Yeah, because they'll understand the problems, so to speak, with understanding politics.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've run out of time, I'm afraid, but just to remind us, when is it out, and where can you get it from?
It's published on the 23rd of June, which is this coming Monday.
Excellent.
And it will be available in W.H. Smith Travel, Waterstones and Borders. And W.H. Smith's Travel covers all the train stations, airports, and so
when you're around the train station looking for something to read, Total Politics,
Total Politics.
Okay, lovely. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Sarah.
Thank you.
Cheers.